Good morning. Good morning. Before I begin, I would like to ask you a question. Would you agree that Satan's only power over you is his ability to get you to believe lies and his deception? If you believe that his ability and strength and power is his ability to lie and deceive you, then you must also agree that your ability to recognize truth and see through his lies is your power over Satan. Would you agree? Now, to recognize truth, you must pay attention to what I am saying and not so much to what I'm wearing. On a couple of occasions, I've had people comment on the kente cloth that I'm wearing. And the reality of the situation is that if they're concentrating on what I'm wearing, then they are not paying attention to the message that I'm trying to give to them. Or they disagree with what I'm saying and they want to draw attention away. Maybe what I'm saying is true, but they don't want to face the truth. So they do what? They focus on something else that they feel will make me wrong. This is Satan deceiving them, playing on their ego and their emotions. This is how Satan defends himself. I want to explain something that will get my message across quickly, but I ask that you give me all your undivided attention. When you were young and you learned to ride a bike or you learned to skate, did you not fall? And when you fell, were you embarrassed? Did you look around to see who watched you fall, or did you pick the bike up or get back on the skates and continue to try and learn? If you learn to ride the bike, if you learn to skate, then you weren't embarrassed about falling. You had nothing to hide. And understand this, when you are wrong now, you have nothing to hide, nothing to be embarrassed about. But Satan is first thing he's going to tell you is that you should be embarrassed. Defend yourself. You have nothing to be embarrassed about when you make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. See, this is how Satan plays on your ego. He makes you want to be more than who or what you are. This is the problem that racists have. They tell themselves they are this, they are that. Then when they see black people outplaying them on the basketball court, in football, instead of getting back up and trying to do better, they feel entitled. And embarrassed. They get emotional. So what do they want to do? They want to hold black people back. Have you been listening? Do you agree? You see, I am not trying to put words in your mouth. I am not asking you to just agree with me. I'm asking you to think and see if you agree with what I am saying. Do you agree with yourself? See, a lot of people will agree with people when they catch them wrong. I mean, a lot of people will agree with people. Yeah, a lot of people will agree with people when when the person catches them being wrong, but they get defensive And so they try to prove themselves right anyway. That is Satan. That is Satan. Recognize when Satan is trying to get in your mind. Nothing you do should you be embarrassed about. We all make mistakes. It is a part of learning. You fall on a bike, you as a child, you don't look around and see who's looking. You get back up and you get back on that bike. You skate, you fall. You don't get embarrassed about it. You might even tell your friends, "Hey, help me get up," and then you start skating again. Understand, learning, we make mistakes. Don't be embarrassed by your mistakes. Who are you trying to show off for? Because everybody that has learned to skate has failed, has fallen. Everybody that has learned to ride a bike has fallen. It is a part of learning, so don't be embarrassed. That is Satan playing on your ego and your emotions. Now I request that you do not allow Satan to interfere in our conversation. This is not a competition with me trying to prove myself smarter than you. Anti-Semitism and racism are the same thing because the United States government knows that we are Hebrew Israelites, and I will leave you the link to prove it. So if we are Hebrew Israelites, then racism against us is anti-Semitism. If you are listening to what I said, then I don't need to repeat that. And I'm not going to repeat it because that would be challenging your intelligence. Because if you are listening, then I don't have to repeat what I said, and I'm not, out of respect for you. Now, as I've stated, Israelis, Egyptians are Caucasians. Israelis refuse to take it has been outlawed, so they can't take DNA tests. But they took DNA tests at least 5-6 years ago and found out that less than 1% of them have the genes of a Hebrew Israelite, a Jew, and over 50% of African Americans have the genes of a Jewish priest. When I say less than 1%, less than 1% of Israelis have the genes of a Jewish priest. Over 50% of black people have the genes of Jewish priests, but we have the genes of a Jew. They do not. This is why Netanyahu outlawed it. Let me ask you a question. Why would he outlaw proof that he is a Hebrew Israelite unless he is not? I'm not going to repeat that question because if you are in your spirit, then you know the answer. And I don't need to repeat it. And repeating it to intelligent people should be embarrassing. Because if you are intelligent, then I don't need to repeat it. And I'm not going to disrespect you by repeating it again. And I will say this. Any person that bleaches their skin wants to be Caucasian. Am I correct? And if they want to be something they are not, then they are obviously embarrassed by who they are, or they simply want to be who they are not. Am I correct? This is how we recognize a racist. Here's a funny thing. Caucasians that are actually white, they want to do what? They love getting a suntan. They go to suntan booths to get suntan. People who want to be white, they bleach their skin and avoid the sun. Digest that. That is insane. Now, as I'm getting to the end, I want to say this. The Russian government under Putin opened their libraries to show that black people are the Hebrew Israelites. In other words, Russians and people like them are not trying to be someone that they are not. And they are not, what I want to say, they are not embarrassed by being who they are. But when they tell me that I am a Hebrew Israelite, then they are not embarrassed by being a Gentile. Rightfully so. But I want to say this, that if you are a Hebrew Israelite and you convert to be a black Christian, then you are converting and giving up your essence, because there is a spiritual power in being a Hebrew Israelite. That is what's meant by being chosen. Being chosen is not a cliche. It is an underlying meaning to it that you should research and try to find out. Now, you can, if you go back into my videos, I've outlined something. And what I outlined is that the Bible is Hebrew Israelite history, but it does not contain the teachings that we need to understand to be able to exercise our essence, our spiritual powers. You see, learning how to drive a car and learning the history of a car is two different things. The Bible is our history, but what made us great? That is what we must acknowledge, and that is what we must study to be truly awakened, and to be able to grasp our essence. We must understand that the Bible is history, but our essence has been hidden from us. And that is what we should look for. And I've given you, and it's in, all this information is in my videos in the past, such as the 10 Commandments, obeying the 10 Commandments, the Kabbalion, Hebrew, the Kabbalion. That is our teachings. What they call Greek philosophy, that is ours. Know what the summum bonum is, to be the greatest good. All of that is in our essence. But when we convert and become black Christians, we lose our essence because we don't look for it. We lose ourselves. If you are who you are and you call yourself someone else, you lose your essence. It's the same thing with them calling Yahshua, Jesus, a Caucasian, and then you hear people saying, "Thank you, Jesus." That is violating the Ten Commandments, because that is putting this white fictional character in front of God. And then you're saying, "Thank you, Jesus." What has Jesus given you? Nothing. He's a fictional character. Yahshua tells us to pray to the Father. Yahshua tells us, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, that he is the Son of Man. If you agree with what I'm saying, I'd like for you to subscribe and then hit the like button to help me with the algorithms. With that, peace. Have a blessed day.